On her first day as a transfer student, she forcibly kissed the most handsome top idol in the academy. But the girl was not satisfied, whether it was the gentle and scheming man with glasses, the cute and cuddly crybaby puppy, or the cold on the outside, warm on the inside violet-haired beauty. Any boy she set her eyes on, she had to have them all in her harem. The girl's name was Doan. She was originally a shut-in who spent all day in her room playing Eggy Party. However, when she woke up, she found she had the face of a top-tier female protagonist. After thinking calmly for 2.5 seconds, the girl treated it all as a dream, because the title above her head told her this was a romance game. Doan was so happy she danced with joy. After all, in a dream, she could do whatever she wanted. Perhaps she could easily form a harem of male idols. The girl walked out of her room full of enthusiasm. Her name and age were written on the door. Her name was now Diana. Just as the girl was wondering where to start her conquest, a boy walked past her. After their eyes met for a moment, a heart popped up above the boy's head. Before Diana could react, another one appeared above his head. Diana guessed this might be a mark of affection level. That would mean he was a character to be captured. Thinking of this, Diana anxiously chased after him, but she accidentally bumped into someone else. No matter what, apologize first. However, when she looked up, she was so stunned by the character in front of her that she was speechless. With such beauty, he must be a main character to be captured, and she could also see the affection level above his head. Meanwhile, the boy was rambling on, only to realize Diana didn't seem to be listening at all. So he simply got up and offered his hand, gentlemanly pulling Diana up. "How are you? Are you hurt anywhere?" Hearing this, Diana subconsciously saw him as an easy character to capture, because in games, this type usually has a twist. They look like an angel, but actually have a terrible personality, while those who look like delinquents are often very pure. This guy in front of her, at first glance, seemed like a very gentle type, but he could very well be a villain pretending to have a good personality. After all, characters whose appearance and personality match are few and far between. So Diana quickly pulled her hand back. With the heroine's signature innocent smile, she declined his offer to show her the way. Although she seemed a bit clumsy, this personality of not wanting to trouble others could unexpectedly make her seem resilient. She looked at his affection level expectantly, but there was no change at all. Diana felt a moment of frustration, but thinking it wasn't time for a formal capture yet, she hurriedly excused herself, saying she needed to find her way. However, after Diana left, the hearts above his head began to ripple. Meanwhile, Diana was wondering about the number of male protagonists, because she had only seen those 2 characters on the way. From the information on the bulletin board, she learned that the school term officially started tomorrow. After arriving at the classroom, Diana began to have deep doubts about her desires. She could actually see the affection level of all characters, not just the male students, but also the female students. She could even see it for dogs and old men. Diana seriously suspected she had played too much Identity V, which was why her dream had become so strange. To verify if the hearts were indeed affection levels, Diana tentatively used the heroine's ultimate skill. To ask a male student for the location of the dean's office, he was easily won over. He shyly pointed out the direction for Diana. Then she enthusiastically helped a female student carry her books, played with a small dog for a while, and handed water to a working grandfather while chatting. As a result, the hearts of every character changed. From this, she judged that the hearts were indeed affection levels. But what she wanted was handsome men flocking around her, not a line of people waiting for her favor. So Diana had to change her strategy. She needed to first create a development plan for herself. After the male lead was devoted to her, she would choose from among them the characters who would stay by her side, no matter what. In this reverse harem game, with such high freedom, she would not be satisfied with choosing just one from the many male leads. When she used to play games, she always felt that these heroines were not up to par. They were either extremely dense about others' feelings or couldn't express their own thoughts. If pursued by multiple people, they would blame themselves or hesitate, unable to make a choice. Although she knew this was scripted, this was a dream. She had no need to struggle. She swore she would never let the tragedy of male leads fighting over the heroine happen. It was just a game anyway. Why go to great lengths to torture the heroine? Wouldn't it be better to give the male and female leads more sweet moments? Therefore, her harem goal was a perfect ending where everyone lived happily together. During class, Diana noticed one thing that was completely different from reality. All the characters here were handsome men and beautiful women. Whether it was the teachers or the students, even the inconspicuous side characters were incredibly good-looking. The thought that all of these were potential capture targets made Diana unable to resist a perverted smile. Realizing her gaffe, she quickly hid her face with a textbook. Although she looked decent now, she wasn't crazy enough to do something as thoughtless as randomly pulling people into her harem. After class, Diana prepared to go to other classes to scout for new characters. Unexpectedly, the boy she had talked to yesterday suddenly ran over. He introduced himself as Pan and offered to show Diana around the campus. Looking at the enthusiastic and talkative Pan beside her, Diana wondered whether to make him the first one in her harem. Just as she was about to make a move, Pan beat her to it, cornering Diana against a wall. He thirstily told her how he felt when they first met, and his frivolous actions instantly wiped out the trace of affection Diana had developed. She pretended not to understand his confession and pushed Pan away. "You're interesting, but unfortunately, I'm not the little dear you imagine." Just then, the class bell rang, and the two had to return to the classroom. At this time, the blondie who had accidentally overheard their conversation behind a tree had his affection for Diana skyrocket. The next morning, Diana suddenly felt like retiring from being the heroine. And it was all because of that perverted character from yesterday. In her opinion, compared to an unpredictable pervert like Pan, a scheming guy like the blondie was actually easier to capture. Because she didn't know what Pan would do next. The current Pan was practically a walking time bomb, letting such an unchained pervert run loose. She didn't know if it was dangerous. Although putting a leash on him might solve the problem, as a perfectionist, Diana didn't plan to do so. Because other than being able to see affection levels, she couldn't find any other game-related functions or buttons. This meant she had no save option. She had to try her best to achieve the perfect ending in one go. Just as Diana arrived at the classroom full of confidence, Pan shamelessly invited her to go out with him again. Although Diana refused, citing her need to study, this guy acted as if he couldn't understand human language, following her from morning till night. Diana wished she could punch him in the face. Because of this guy, her capture plan had made no progress at all. At this moment, Diana went to a corner to punch a wall, venting her anger. Since this was a dream, it should go as she wished. Can't the characters she dislikes just be sensible and disappear on their own? Anyway, this dream has been going on for quite some time. Rather than waking up from the dream with nothing to show for it, it would be better to get rid of Pan before that. Suddenly, a hand touched her forehead. "Are you okay, miss? If you keep hitting it like that, you'll get a bruise." Diana turned her head and saw it was the scheming guy she had met before. To verify how much he had seen, Diana nervously asked him when he arrived and what he wanted with her. But the blondie just smiled and called out Diana's name. And the moment she heard her name, Diana realized he actually had two hearts above his head. Because that crazy perverted dear boy also had two hearts, Diana had to suspect that the blondie in front of her was also a weirdo like Pan. Looking at the wary Diana, the blondie had a sudden realization. He easily explained that he knew about Diana's current situation, reminding her not to resort to any extreme measures to solve the problem. "I happened to see you being threatened by Pan that day. I thought it would be fine after you went back, but I didn't expect him to still be pestering you. Diana, I just want to help you, so there's no need to keep putting on a brave face in front of me." After delivering this combination of moves, the blondie appeared exceptionally confident. After all, he was a person who could be described with all positive words. Since he was a child, the most common praise Cashion heard was good boy. Although he didn't know what was so good about being a good boy, nor did he feel particularly happy about it, he still lived up to everyone's expectations. Because there was no particular burden or pressure, Cashion had no dissatisfaction at all. He was completely true to his appearance. After all, he had always lived his life with an open and honest heart. Therefore, he considered himself an angel. As for those who were tactless and only knew how to make demands of him, although they were a bit annoying, he didn't dislike them. To him, these requests were not a big deal. It was just that sometimes he would feel lonely until his first encounter with Diana. This girl not only disregarded his words, but also refused to accept his apology. Even when he made a friendly gesture, she just coolly took her leave. This series of actions made Cashion curious about Diana. And by a chance encounter, he saw the scene of Pan threatening Diana. Because Pan was a difficult guy, Cashion had intended to step in and help like a prince from a novel, saving her from distress. But from what she said at that time, Cashion felt that Diana might be the same type of person as him. This unknowingly sparked a feeling of affection in him. After that, Cashion's hobby became observing Diana. He found that although she was especially kind to everyone, she seemed like a different person when she was alone. This effort to hide her true self made Cashion find her very cute. And Diana, at this moment, was also feeling a bit unwilling. She had been pushed into a corner by Pan. With no suitable solution, she only had two options: continue to run away or reveal her true self. At such a critical moment, someone extended a helping hand to her. That person not only knew her true self, but was also willing to accept her unconditionally. However, just as Cashion thought he could become Diana's savior, Diana suddenly questioned his words. If it's really as you say, then prove it to me. I'm tired of this anyway. With that, Diana lunged for Cashion's lips, pushing him against the wall. Greedily tasting, the two separated after a moment. Cashion was still bewildered by what had just happened. Diana's wall slam interrupted his thoughts. It turned out he didn't really understand Diana at all. The Diana he knew was a bit more innocent. If that's the case, on what grounds did he arbitrarily assume Diana was the same kind of person as him, judging others so freely, forcibly creating an image of his own imagination? How was he any different from those other people? For a moment, Cashion didn't know if he should apologize or be angry. A sense of shame born from arrogance filled his mind. Just then, Diana held his face. Why are you making that expression? Is it because of the kiss just now? Seeing Cashion's face flush red, not looking angry, Diana had thought her impulsive act would end the game right there. The affection level didn't change at all. Could it be that Cashion is the type who likes to be dominated? At this moment, Cashion was still mocking his own hypocrisy. You also think I'm a dark and pathetic person, don't you? Facing Cashion's question, Diana showed a brilliant smile. Do you like me? Didn't you say you wanted to help me? Saying this, she hugged Cashion. I want to be on the same side as you too. Cashion burst into tears. It turned out that having someone who understands and is willing to accept you is such a happy feeling. Whether she was an angel who saved him or a demon who would drag him to hell, Cashion just wanted to hold Diana's hand tightly. Afterward, Diana teased Cashion about his embarrassment just now. Suddenly, Cashion asked, "Do you know my name?" Diana broke out in a cold sweat, stammering and unable to speak. She felt ashamed in her heart. They had already kissed, yet she didn't even know his name. Seeing her flustered expression, Cashion couldn't help but laugh out loud. "You could just call me Cashion. Also, I like you, Diana." He left a kiss on Diana's cheek. This sudden attack surprised Diana a little. Cashion playfully explained, "I wanted to kiss you too." After returning to the dorm, Diana was exceptionally excited. Now it finally felt a bit like playing a romance game. However, she knew it wasn't time to relax yet. First, Cashion was not quite what she had expected. She had thought he would be a dark and scheming character, but in reality, he was just a bit childish. Then, the second point was that Diana didn't know how long she would be here. Now, she had two paths before her. One was to fully enjoy her romance with Cashion. The other was to continue to complete the harem ending. So, not long after, Diana found Cashion and told him about her dream of having a harem. Because Cashion was her first lover, respecting her lover's opinion was Diana's way of love. Moreover, to have a harem, she had to get Cashion's approval. Cashion listened and considered it seriously for a few minutes. Then he advised Diana to first exclude Pan. Diana was stunned. "Is that all?" Cashion excitedly grabbed her hand and continued to add, "Of course not. There's also that guy from class 2, and I don't recommend the one from class 3 either." Diana interrupted Cashion's rambling. "Is that all you care about? If you're not willing to have a harem, you can say so. I respect your thoughts." Hearing this, Cashion pressed Diana's hand to his face. "In our country, there are no restrictions on polyamorous relationships. Besides, as long as it's what you want, I will do my best to satisfy you, no matter what it is. Of course, you have to promise not to make me feel lonely, and you have to be with me for a lifetime." And just like that, the matter of starting a harem received the approval of the main consort. With his advice, a few dangerously scummy guys were also decisively excluded. After that, voices discussing Diana appeared in the class. Two girls approached her. "We heard you're dating Cashion. Is that true?" Instantly, Diana became vigilant. In games, there are always those characters who are jealous of others, and becoming Cashion's lover would inevitably lead to these kinds of events. After all, everyone in the school, regardless of gender or age, was a fan of Cashion. Moreover, she hadn't hidden it at all these past few days, showing all sorts of public displays of affection. For this reason, Diana disguised herself with an innocent and harmless appearance. If someone targeted her now, they would be labeled as a bad person. Then she carefully looked at the affection level above their heads. By now, Diana already had a system for identifying hearts. Just as she thought these two weren't interested in her, their hearts instantly filled to the max. It turned out these two sisters were simply gossiping about her and Cashion's story. Realizing her misunderstanding, Diana felt a twinge of apology. During the lunch break, Diana planned to scout for harem candidates. Right now, besides Pan in her class with 2 stars of affection, there was another person who caught her attention. She learned from Cashion that his name was Seal. He was also a quite famous figure in the school. However, perhaps out of jealousy, Seal particularly disliked Cashion. After school, after saying goodbye to her new friends, Diana realized that her next conquest would become very difficult, because she was now openly dating Cashion. Approaching his rival in this situation would be scummy behavior. Diana even suspected that this was why Cashion had obediently agreed to her harem. Just as she was feeling annoyed, Seal suddenly approached. "I have something to say to you. Can you spare a little time for me?" After that, Diana followed Seal outside. His affection level was almost non-existent. Because her date with Cashion was approaching, Diana had to stop him, hoping he would get straight to the point. Unexpectedly, Seal suddenly warned Diana, "You might be deceived by Cashion. That guy's always liked to act aloof. With his mentality, it's impossible for him to be serious about dating you. So you should stop before you get hurt." Diana was speechless. Why do all these scheming characters like to push her into a corner? At first glance, these words seem to be for my own good, but in reality, he's just venting his dissatisfaction with Cashion. Cashion has never revealed his true self to the public. Therefore, Diana treated Seal's words as his own delusions. However, on the surface, she still pretended to be obedient. This caused Seal's affection level to rise a bit. However, Seal's nagging wasn't over. He promised that if Diana left Cashion's side, he would become her new lover as compensation. Diana was suddenly at a loss. She held Seal's face and studied it carefully, as if she was really considering whether to accept that ridiculous proposal. "So everything you've done with Cashion, can you replace it all?" Seal was stunned for a moment, then promised he would do it with all his heart. "In that case, can I call you by your pet name, Bambi, from now on?" Seal immediately blushed and asked Diana how she knew that name. Diana frankly explained the reason. "Because Cashion is my lover." It turned out she had learned from Cashion that he and Seal were actually childhood friends. But because he had called Seal by his pet name in front of classmates in elementary school, he had been resented by him for 10 years. At the same time, Diana invited Seal to be her number 2 lover. These bold words made Seal doubt his own ears for a moment. Just as he grabbed Diana, wanting to ask clearly what Cashion had said, Cashion appeared in time to interrupt them. Seeing the newcomer, Seal panicked. At this moment, he was holding another person's girlfriend's hand in a delicate position. And not long ago, he was trying to steal her away. Seal felt so guilty he didn't know how to explain. Seeing him break out in a cold sweat, speechless, Diana took the initiative to help him out, claiming they were just chatting a bit. Seal was suddenly a little touched. Could it be that what this girl said just now was all a joke? But he dismissed the thought. It's also possible she said that so she wouldn't get caught. After all, to be able to lie so calmly, she must not be a simple character. As she was leaving, Diana turned back and waved. "See you tomorrow, Bambi." Seal was instantly struck by lightning. Little did he know, there was no misunderstanding between the couple up ahead. The only one in turmoil, because of Diana's words, was Seal. She had transmigrated into a reverse harem romance game. To create a perfect harem ending, on the first day, she forcibly kissed the Academy idol Cashion, making him her main consort. And her second target for capture was Cashion's childhood friend, Seal. She learned from Cashion that Seal's real name was Bambi. In this world, people don't name their newborns directly. Usually, they're told their real names only after they grow up. Over time, a culture developed where only family members would call them by their real names. At the age of 4, Seal learned that his real name was Bambi. It was inspired by the name of a fairy tale book he liked. His mother dreamed of marrying someone named Bambi when she was young, so she named her son Bambi. And his father was also quite unreliable. Hearing his wife say this, he immediately wanted to fight with his son for the name. Seal swore at that time that he would definitely change his name when he grew up. However, now his was wavering slightly. For some reason, Diana's figure always appeared in his dreams. The next day, an oversleeping Seal rushed to the classroom. On the way, he bumped into Cashion. The two of them were childhood friends. But because Cashion called him Bambi when they first met, Seal's first impression of him was extremely bad. For this reason, he also wanted to leave a not-so-good memory for Cashion. However, whether in studies or sports, or even in socializing, there was not a single thing Seal could surpass Cashion in. But the two were friends, after all. Even if he lost, Seal wouldn't feel bad. However, as soon as he thought of Cashion calling him Bambi, Seal's anger towards Cashion would quickly rise. He ignored Cashion and walked past him quickly, his mind recalling Diana saying she wanted to date other guys. But Cashion's expression now seemed completely oblivious. He originally thought he was the one being pursued, but from the way he ran over panting last time, Cashion was the one being deceived. An absurd image formed in Seal's mind. Cashion clinging to Diana like a simp, only to be ruthlessly abandoned by her in the end. Seal suddenly felt a little sorry for Cashion. Although he was excellent at everything, he didn't expect his taste in girlfriends to be so bad. Out of sympathy, Seal turned around to remind Cashion, maybe you and that girl are not that compatible. As he was leaving, he was stopped by Cashion. Not that girl. It's Diana. Be careful not to call her by the wrong name in the future. After returning to the classroom, Seal was about to die of anger at Cashion's stupidity. He couldn't figure out what tricks Diana had used. To uncover Diana's secret, Seal decided to use his own face to capture her. He believed that with his looks, he could see what she was up to. And so, the perennial number 2, Seal, began his soul-stirring seduction of Diana. Never underestimating anything was Seal's principle. So he prepared to investigate Diana first. As everyone knows, most of the students at this school were admitted through special recruitment. Among them were children of the upper class, as well as people with outstanding talents in certain fields. It could be said to be a place where talent and wealth met. However, this suddenly transferred Diana was an exception. Seal knew all the children of the powerful families, but he had never heard of Diana. For this reason, he asked others in the class for their impression of Diana. It turned out that most people's knowledge of her was limited to being Cashion's lover. This kind of information was useless as a reference. Besides, saying she was kind and had a good personality was all nonsense. Helpless, he had to resort to a more direct approach. He would personally tail and follow Diana to gather intelligence. Just as he was fantasizing about unmasking Diana, she had already spotted him. Diana walked straight over. It seems you've been following me for a while. Is there something you want to say to me? Hearing this, Seal was so embarrassed his face turned red. To properly resolve the current situation, all the books he had ever read flashed through his mind. The knowledge he had accumulated to defeat Cashion finally came in handy. He knelt on one knee. The reason I'm doing this is to win your heart, my lady. The moment he finished speaking, an unprecedented sense of humiliation spread throughout Seal's body. He quickly explained that what he had just said was a joke. But after seeing Diana smile, he heard his own heart beating violently with immense clarity. He still hadn't recovered, even by nightfall. Seal couldn't understand why a girl would deliberately tease him with the name Bambi. It's impossible that someone in this world doesn't know what it means to call someone by their real name. Usually, only very close friends or family members would use real names. Could it be that Diana knew this and did it on purpose? The purpose was to attract him. Thinking of this, Seal incoherently told himself not to overthink it. Cashion was already Diana's lover. He shouldn't have these shameless thoughts. To suppress the jealousy in his heart, Seal took out a romance novel to adjust his mood. Outside the room, his parents looked at each other, puzzled by Seal's abnormality. Although it was a bit strange, his mother could see at a glance that Seal was actually enjoying it. The next day, Cashion was walking with Diana. Suddenly, Cashion brought up the matter of Seal's confession yesterday. Seeing his lover happy about being confessed to by another guy, Cashion's mood was a bit complicated, but he quickly smiled and said it was just a joke. And Diana told Cashion that although the confession was indeed real, she could feel that he wasn't that sincere. She had the school hunk as her boyfriend. But the girl was still not satisfied. To create a top-tier harem, she set her sights on Cashion's childhood friend, Seal. However, Seal was at Sundara. He seemed to hate Cashion, but in reality, he was worried that his friend was being deceived by a bad woman. So he thought of testing the waters himself, relying on his outstanding looks to snatch Diana away from Cashion. Then, in front of everyone, he would expose Diana's true colors. It's just that whenever Seal began his soul-stirring seduction, in the end, he would be flirted with by Diana until his face flushed and his heart pounded. Not long ago, Seal confessed to Diana in public. Although he wasn't joking when he said it, he wasn't actually that sincere. Diana didn't expect him to dare to confess to her with such a low affection level. She decided to tease him properly. If she wanted to have Seal wrapped around her finger, she should first spoil him rotten, making him unable to extricate himself. Then, at the critical moment, take his first time in one fell swoop. Suddenly remembering her main consort Cashion, Diana quickly dispelled her fantasies. As soon as she returned to the classroom, she bumped into someone. It was none other than Seal. Diana immediately showed a sweet smile and greeted him. On the other hand, Seal's expression management was clearly not up to par. "Good morning, little bird." His new image, which he had tried so hard to create, looked so funny to Diana. That laugh directly captured Seal again. Diana was surprised that Seal called her little bird. Unlike Cashion, whose social skills were maxed out, Seal sometimes acted overly enthusiastic and ended up messing things up. This pitiful and sad appearance was actually quite cute. Meanwhile, Pan overheard their conversation. He seemed to be pondering Diana's preferences. During class, Diana didn't feel bored at all because the teacher was a super handsome guy with glasses. She wondered if he would have a different kind of charm if he took off his glasses. However, Diana actually preferred a stern-looking glasses character like Seal. To take away what he tried so hard to protect, and then let him taste the flavor of torment and suffering. That being said, Diana still hadn't figured out how to capture Seal. It took her 2 days to capture Pan and about a week for Cashion. Speaking of capturing, thinking about it carefully, she hadn't really done anything at all. Diana suddenly began to doubt her own abilities. Could it be that the setting is that as long as they serve her, she can capture them easily? Wouldn't that mean she could really build a super harem? On the other hand, Seal was also incredibly confident. He felt that his morning greeting was simply impeccable. At this rate, capturing Diana's heart was just a matter of time. Just then, he noticed Pan in the bushes. Seal and Pan also knew each other since they were young. Although Pan had never made any major mistakes, his behavior always had a twisted feeling. Seeing Pan burying something alive back then left a serious psychological scar on Seal. Seal wanted to pretend he didn't see him, but suddenly he heard Pan mention Diana. The next day, Diana found a gift box at her dorm room door. She guessed that it wouldn't be the kind of gift she was thinking of, because Cashion wouldn't surprise her in this way. After opening it, she found a small bird. There was also a letter. Diana immediately rushed to the classroom. She found Pan right away. "Can you come with me to a place where there's no one to talk?" Hearing this, Pan of course agreed immediately, but he misunderstood her intentions. Their conversation was overheard by Seal. During class, the teacher noticed that 3 students were absent from the classroom. This was a big blow to him as an excellent teacher. At this time, Seal followed the 2 to a small grove. He was so nervous that cold sweat dripped down his face. After all, this was his first time skipping class. He saw Diana take out a rope from her bag and ask, "Are you the one who sent this kind of gift to me?" Although Seal had also mentioned a little bird, a person like him would never do such a thing. Even if he did, he would definitely not tie a rope to the bird. In game terms, Seal is the shy Sunder type, while Pan is the dark and dangerous type. At this moment, Pan completely misunderstood the meaning of Diana's words. He excitedly grabbed Diana's hands. "I knew it. Even though there was no name or anything written, you would definitely know it was me. It seems we were destined for each other. But where is that bird now? I tied a rope to it so it wouldn't escape. Could it have suffocated because it was put in a box?" Diana interrupted Pan and explained that she had let the bird go. "Let's forget it this time, but don't let there be a next time." As soon as she finished speaking, Pan burst into tears. Seeing this scene, Diana was completely stunned. Just as she thought he was about to have a sudden awakening and turn over a new leaf, she heard Pan say that next time he would remember to clip the bird's wings before sending it. He really is a complete scumbag. The scene before him left the peeping Seal in a bit of a mess. He didn't know why Diana had made Pan cry. He also couldn't understand their relationship. Yesterday, he vaguely heard Pan say he wanted to give Diana a gift. Analyzing all the signs, they were not just ordinary friends. And just now, Pan was shouting something about being destined. Such words could only be said by a fiancé. Then what about Cashion? How many men was Diana hiding? Suddenly, Seal had a realization. His purpose in coming here was just to confirm that Pan wouldn't do anything dangerous. Whether Diana and Pan were in that kind of relationship, whether she was playing with Cashion's feelings, none of it had anything to do with him. It's just that his heart ached inexplicably. A few days ago, when he was reading a romance novel, he felt quite good. The sweet words in it didn't seem real, but they did make him feel sweet. Pan's questioning voice startled Seal. Why am I the only one who can't? It doesn't matter if it's Cashion or Seal. I like you so much. Diana looked coldly at Pan in front of her. Just as Pan said, she had so frivolously pulled Seal into her harem. Why did she have to reject only Pan? Was it because she sensed Pan's danger? In the end, her confusion turned into annoyance. Diana couldn't be bothered to explain further. In short, you're just not acceptable. The gift you sent doesn't make me happy at all. Besides, you don't even know me. In your eyes, do I have to like everyone? Pan still looked like he was on the verge of tears. He asked Diana, is it because Seal understands you that you like him? Suddenly hearing his own name, Seal felt the shame of being the other man. He believed that being caught by her fiancé liking someone else, Diana would surely panic. But Diana just smiled confidently and then denied what Pan had said. The unexpected answer surprised both of them. Seal, while relieved that he had escaped disaster, also felt a little disappointed, but soon his mood became excited again. What I mean is it's not because Seal understands me that I like him. It's because Seal works hard enough, whether we end up together or not. I think he is a more charming person than you. Pan clenched his fists unwillingly. Then what should I do? Diana was speechless. You're not a child anymore. Figure it out yourself. But she underestimated Pan's persistence. After being clearly rejected, his desire for Diana actually forced him to do something desperate. Because his confession was not accepted by the girl, the pervert wanted to possess her in a crazy way. Facing the imminent danger, Diana made no move. Seal panicked, thinking Diana was too scared to move. In the nick of time, Pan was stopped by a purple-haired beauty. For a moment, everyone's eyes were focused on him. Brilliant long hair, paired with violet gem-like pupils. Although she had never seen this person before, Diana felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. The duck that was in his hands just flew away. Pan was furious. He told the other person to be sensible and get lost. Before Pan could continue with his harsh words, the purple-haired guy lifted him up and then took out a medicine bottle and forced it down his throat. After Pan fainted weakly, the purple-haired guy turned to ask if this person was a stalker, implying that what he did was a good thing. But such a dangerous character who would drug someone without a word. Diana really didn't want to get close. Just as she was about to take the opportunity to slip away, the other person called out to her. Why did you spare this guy? It turned out Diana hadn't reacted because she was hesitating whether to beat Pan up. But having her thoughts exposed in public like this, she didn't know how to explain, just as she was at a loss. The purple-haired guy suddenly leaned in and pointed into the distance. Is that friend over there a stalker too? Seal immediately retorted. Then what are you doing hiding there so sneakily? If you don't say anything, it means you have a guilty conscience. As an upright gentleman, Seal couldn't stand such an accusation. He stated that he only had pure feelings for Diana. At this moment, Diana's praise from not long ago flooded his mind. The girl in front of him suddenly seemed to have a love filter on her. This made Seal's cheeks flush red, and he was unable to speak. He explained that he was just worried about Diana skipping class, so he followed her. Diana guessed that Seal must have overheard their conversation, because his affection level had unknowingly reached 2 stars. Seal gently tugged at Diana's sleeve. He shyly reminded her, I hope you won't skip class again next time. This shy and Sundra look instantly struck a chord in Diana's heart. Seeing the atmosphere gradually becoming ambiguous, Diana was about to capture Seal in one fell swoop. Unexpectedly, the next moment, the purple-haired guy suddenly spoke up. Why aren't you guys going back yet? If you want to attend the next class, you have to go now. He even gave him a push. As she was leaving, Diana wanted to leave a good impression on the purple-haired guy. When she turned her head, she saw Pan lying on the ground. She remembered that there was still such a troublesome character. The purple-haired guy thought Diana had concerns and explained that what he had fed him was not poison. It was just because it tasted so bad that it caused him to faint. He then promised to be responsible for taking Pan to the infirmary. After Diana and Seal left, the purple-haired guy immediately made a phone call to someone, explaining the situation. He included details like Diana not being afraid in the face of danger. After returning to the classroom, Diana was completely bewildered. She thought she had already confirmed their feelings for each other with Seal, and that her harem path had finally taken its first step. But Seal showed no reaction afterward. On the way back, the pink, ambiguous atmosphere was so obvious. However, he suddenly became cold at the classroom door. At first, Diana thought Seal was just shy, but every time she tried to find him, Seal would disappear without a trace. So, Diana told her main consort Cashion about the situation. He thought that Seal avoiding her was not playing hard to get. Perhaps she didn't need to worry so much and let the feelings develop gradually. But she was afraid that Seal would gradually forget why he was running away. And since then, Pan hadn't come to class either. She couldn't guarantee that Seal had nothing to do with this matter. Although she believed Seal was not that kind of character, because there was no rewind option, she was not confident about whether she could capture Seal. Suddenly, Diana woke up with a start, asking Cashion if she had shown a pitiful expression. At this moment, unable to bring back her little concubine, she was like a male lion who had failed in a hunt. And Cashion also understood Diana's concerns. He smiled slightly. I know, choosing someone based on feeling alone is a dangerous thing. It's natural to have such thoughts, but you don't need to worry at all. Seal is exactly the kind of person you imagine him to be. He won't hold a grudge. Also, you don't need to worry about the disappointment you just felt. To me, Diana is perfect at all times. And the anxiety you just mentioned, it's just like how I felt when I first started dating you. Diana suddenly felt a pang of guilt. She didn't expect that even after being an old married couple, Cashion still felt insecure. Cashion confessed that he felt it was a complete fluke that he could date Diana. Diana thought Cashion was confessing this just to comfort her. But Cashion was telling the truth. If Diana hadn't made any of the right choices back then, the person facing him now wouldn't be him. Every time he thought about it, Cashion would feel a heartache. He wanted to be the most special person by Diana's side, no matter who else appeared behind her in the future. So, Cashion suggested going on a date with Diana tomorrow and said it was okay to invite Seal along, because he believed he would never lose to him. To improve the relationship within the harem, Cashion suggested to Diana that the three of them go on a date over the weekend. Unexpectedly, Seal's sweet moment had just begun when a pink-haired girl wanted to take his place and become a member of Diana's harem. A short while ago, Diana changed her clothes and arrived at the date location. She saw that Cashion seemed to have found a spot early and had been waiting for a long time. Diana apologized for being late. These past few days, she had been living a life between 2 points, so she was completely unfamiliar with the environment outside the school. She also didn't know what style of clothes to wear. Just as she was about to ask Cashion what the plan was, she found that Seal was not with him. It turned out that early this morning, Cashion had called Seal, inviting him to go on a date together. Seal didn't know what nonsense Cashion was talking about, cursed him for being crazy, and hung up the phone. At the last moment, Seal finally heard Diana's name. But Cashion had no idea why Seal was angry at that time, thinking he was more traditional and unwilling to accept a 3-person date. After hearing this, Diana didn't fuss too much. She took the initiative to hold Cashion's hand. After all, a date with just the two of them wasn't a bad thing. Little did she know, while the two were sweetly shopping, Seal had been following behind, observing the situation. Seeing this scene, he was about to grind his back teeth to dust. He verbally blamed Cashion for suggesting a 3-person date, but he still sincerely changed into his uniform and made an excuse for himself. He was just happening to be nearby on business. He happened to run into the two of them, so he had no choice but to join. Then Cashion and Diana went to a flower shop, and then to a church to play the part of a newlywed couple. On the way, they bought some snacks that allowed for indirect contact. Such a date could be considered very successful. Cashion found it strange why every time he wanted to buy something for Diana, he was refused. Diana explained that she didn't have many material desires, but in reality, she felt that since it was a dream, there was no need. However, something with commemorative value was fine. So, Diana suggested getting a set of matching couple's earrings. But as soon as she said it, Cashion's cheeks turned red. He explained that earrings are a tool to prevent men from having accidents. Diana didn't understand at all at this point, thinking it was a plot requirement of the game. It was only when she connected Cashion's shy expression with the word accident that she finally understood the function of earrings in this world. Diana wanted to defend herself in embarrassment, but the words wouldn't come out. In the end, she had to randomly point and say that Bambi was over there, trying to divert Cashion's attention. Looking in that direction, he actually saw the sneaky Seal. Cashion greeted Seal, wondering why he was chewing on bread while hiding his face with a newspaper. Could it be that you've been following us all this time? Although Seal loudly denied it, Cashion still looked at him with a knowing gaze. Seeing Seal being questioned by Cashion until he was speechless, Diana smiled and extended an invitation. If it's Bambi, dating together would be nice too. Hearing this, Seal's face immediately flushed red. After coming to his senses, he stammered, trying to explain to Cashion. Before he could finish, a delicate voice came from behind. "Isn't this Seal? Even Cashion is here." Then he lifted Diana's chin and asked, "Could you be that rumored girl?" This super sweet pink-haired girl made Diana feel like she was facing a great enemy. If someone with such looks became her rival, she would have no chance of winning. But the next moment, Diana was stunned. The pink-haired girl showed no intention of getting close to Cashion and Seal. Instead, with an exaggerated expression, she listed the bad habits of the two. Cashion just shows off that weird smile of his all day. Seal is also a dummy who pretends to be cool, even though he's very insecure. Being with these two, there will be no good outcome at all. Diana, you must have been deceived by their sweet talk. After calming down, Diana told him that these things could actually be called personality traits, and in her eyes, they were also very cute. Hearing this answer, the pink-haired guy was a little surprised. He wanted to say more, but was stopped by Seal. Facing Seal's questioning, the pink-haired guy looked impatient. "If you have something to say it after we get home." Cashion whispered to Diana, explaining that Callan and Seal are relatives and often live together during their school days. Watching the scene of Seal scolding Callan, Diana didn't feel heartbroken. Instead, she watched with great interest. She remarked that Seal was a responsible older brother. Seal sighed deeply and then denied this identity. He was not a good older brother at all. Hearing this, Diana quickly hugged Callan tightly. Callan's attitude of not explaining at all annoyed Seal. Callan is clearly the one causing trouble. Why are you ganging up with him? If you don't make it clear, then I will. The Callan in her arms suddenly trembled. "I'm going back." Hearing this, Seal was stunned, somewhat in disbelief of Callan's words. Being so direct was not his usual style at all. The two passed each other. Callan revealed a fierce look. "Are you not satisfied, even if I say I'm going back?" In the face of such an aura, Seal was too scared to speak. Before leaving, Callan turned to remind Cashion, "You better not talk nonsense either, or you'll regret it." At this moment, Diana was still immersed in the atmosphere of watching the drama. Suddenly, a clear call came. Callan smiled brightly and promised to see them next time. After saying goodbye to Callan and Seal, Cashion leaned in front of Diana. "If you're curious, I'm willing to tell you anything." Their faces got closer and closer. But thinking of Callan's final warning, Diana suppressed her curiosity. Because compared to Callan's identity, she cared more about the sweetness that was right in front of her. She went on a date with her two boyfriends, originally wanting to improve the relationship within the harem. Unexpectedly, a pink-haired guy appeared on the way and declared his love for her. After some understanding, she learned that the pink-haired guy's name was Callan, a relative of Seal's family. After returning home, Seal immediately questioned Callan about what he was trying to do. But facing the furious Seal, Callan looked playful. "A while ago, I heard a rumor that you confessed to Cashion's lover. I thought you were just making a useless effort to win against him. But looking at your pathetic state now, it seems you're quite sincere about Diana. You dressed up so handsomely, not only allowing her to call you by your real name, but even willing to be your concubine." Seal impatiently interrupted Callan's mockery, explaining that he just wanted a normal relationship. "In other words, you have no relationship with Diana. In that case, I'll work hard." Hearing this, Seal was instantly stunned. "What did you just say?" "Nothing much. Just that after seeing Diana in person, I found her very cute. Not only is she easy to communicate with, but she also has a charm that even Cashion has fallen for. Therefore, he was also deeply attracted to her." Callan was very satisfied with Seal's shocked and speechless appearance. Although his main purpose in saying this was to tease Seal, Diana's image had indeed left a deep impression on Callan's heart. Meanwhile, Diana in her dorm room still hadn't recovered from the date. The date was a lot of fun. Cashion's kiss at the end, in particular, made it impossible for her to calm down. Recalling it again, Diana's face instantly flushed and her heart pounded. Such an experience was just like a real romance. Although no payment screen appeared after the kiss, a romance game where the heroine doesn't encounter danger is also quite rare. Developing a romance in such an undaily environment is a bit too dramatic. Fortunately, this game doesn't have those life-or-death events. The only serious one was Pan. But what Diana didn't expect was that as the heroine, she would soon witness a bloody and brutal scene with her own eyes. On this day, Callan went to the school to find Diana, full of excitement. It turned out that he had temporarily taken a leave of absence for a performance some time ago. Starting today, he would transfer to Cashion's class to continue his studies. Hearing this, Diana's alarm bells immediately went off. She suspected that the relationship between Seal and Callan was not as simple as she had imagined. However, their subsequent interactions gradually dispelled Diana's doubts. Callan came to play with her every day, and their relationship became closer and closer. Just as Callan's affection level was about to turn into 2 stars, Seal suddenly issued a warning to Diana, reminding her that the Pan incident had just passed not long ago. Diana didn't take it to heart. She felt that Callan was not like Pan at all. Seal immediately became agitated. "You don't know Callan at all. Getting so close to him, what's the difference between that and 2 timing?" Diana was speechless. Poaching someone's man was not something Seal hadn't done before. However, she explained to Seal that she and Callan were not that close yet. The next moment, Seal suddenly choked up. "I've been waiting for you and Cashion to break up. Then you don't have to wait." Seal misunderstood Diana's meaning. "How can you say such a thing? I can't control my feelings." Diana held Seal's face. "What I mean is, don't make yourself so tired. You could just date me like this. If we can be happy with each other, then there's no need to pay attention to worldly voices or other people's opinions, because this is purely a matter for the 2 of us to decide." The words spoken by this beautiful figure were so absurd, but they made Seal want to confess his feelings. Just as he was about to agree, the class bell suddenly rang. Seal also instantly sobered up. His face flushed red. He used class as an excuse to run away from Diana. At this moment, Diana began to doubt her ultimate man-charming move. Cashion's affection level had long reached 3 stars, but Seal's had been stuck at 2. Besides him, there was another missing person who was also at 2 stars. The only difference between Cashion and Seal was whether they were officially dating her. Perhaps this was the special condition to unlock the 3rd star. Diana originally wanted to lure Bambi over as soon as possible, but seeing that his affection level hadn't dropped, and from his behavior, it should only be a matter of time. At this moment, Callan came to find Diana as usual. The initial anxiety of not knowing where she would wake up from the dream gradually faded as she spent day after day here. Anyway, this is something happening in a dream. Don't overthink it. Being happy is the best choice. Diana and Callan held hands, snuggling on a bench. Callan asked Diana if she liked him. Diana didn't answer immediately, but instead asked him if he would feel troubled after knowing the answer. After all, most of the rumors about her out there were true. Callan solemnly stated that he didn't mind. On the contrary, he very much hoped that there would be rumors about him and Diana. Diana was stunned for a moment. Callan coughed and explained that he didn't have any immoral preferences, but he couldn't bring himself to say the next words. Noticing Callan's strangeness, Diana squeezed his trembling hand and comforted him. "If you don't want to say it, you don't have to. Even though we haven't known each other for long, I also know that you are someone I like. If you are ready in the future, you can tell me anytime." Although Callan might be a dangerous person, Diana still followed her heart and made her own choice. After all, Cashion didn't show any hostility towards Callan at that time. Hearing what Diana said, Callan's affection levels started to rise again, bit by bit. He couldn't help but slowly move closer to Diana's lips. The girl whose temporary goal was to build a harem actually took the initiative to express her love for the pink-haired guy, promising that no matter what unspeakable secrets Callan had, she would not ask. Being so considerate by the person he loved, the pink-haired guy was deeply moved. He squeezed Diana's hand and spoke excitedly. Diana's gaze was locked on Callan's affection level. The heart grew to 2 stars and then froze. She guessed it was because their feelings for each other were not deep enough yet. Although it was a pity, she could only think of other ways. At this moment, Callan suddenly took the initiative to bring up his secret because he wanted to respond to Diana's feelings. Just as Callan was about to speak, the arrival of a man interrupted the conversation. "Isn't this Callan? Why are you still the same as before?" The next moment, a murderous intent appeared on Callan's face. Diana, on the other hand, was completely clueless. Callan stood up, saying he was going to chat with an acquaintance on the other side. "Can you wait here for a moment?" After saying that, Callan and the man left, leaving Diana alone and confused. Callan impatiently questioned the man. "Why did you come here? Don't you know about my enrollment?" The man chuckled. "Can't I come and see my little sister?" Callan immediately realized that this man had snuck into the school from outside. He wanted to send the man out before he was discovered, but the other party was ungrateful, grabbing Callan's arm and ordering him to introduce Diana to him. This rude gesture instantly annoyed Callan, and he flung the man's hand away. "I'm sending you out for your own good." "How disheartening. The one who should be disheartened is me, I guess. Why are you deliberately avoiding that girl to talk to me? Have you not told her the truth yet? It seems you also know this is embarrassing. In that case, I'll go tell her right now." Before he could continue, Callan raised his fist as large as a sandbag and smashed it towards a man. Blood gradually stained the man's shirt. At this moment, a questioning voice forced Callan to stop his fists. Not far away, Diana was looking at him with a shocked expression. In an instant, a roar echoed in Callan's mind. He tried to explain to Diana incoherently, but didn't know where to start. At this time, Diana was also very dissatisfied with the man. Her perfectly good conquest plan had been completely ruined by him, so she suggested they just bury the person here. Although becoming an accomplice with Diana was very exciting, Callan still rejected this plan. At the same time, the man staggered up from the ground. Then he suddenly lunged at Callan's head. In an instant, Diana was shocked by the scene before her. The sweet, pink-haired girl from before was gone. In her place was a young man with light purple hair. Since he was little, Callan had been particularly interested in bows and dolls. He swore to live like this forever. Those who disapproved of him were worthless in his eyes. His only family was his mother. Although Callan's father passed away very early, Callan's childhood was not lonely at all. On the contrary, he lived a happy life because his mother always supported his decisions and would even proactively buy those gifts for him. Although strange whispers would come from those around him from time to time, he felt very secure under his mother's doting love. Until one day, his mother brought home an uncle. She claimed they would be seeing each other often from now on, and this was Callan's brother. Callan shyly greeted them, but it triggered the man's questions. Their unbearable insults deeply wounded Callan's heart. Callan immediately fled back to his room. He threw all his clothes on the floor. His mother hugged Callan from behind. "And no matter what you are like, Mom just want Callan to be happy. That uncle from just now, Mom won't let him come again." But Callan didn't agree, because he also hoped his mother could be happy. Since the two of them got along well, he was willing to change for his mother. Later, his mother and the uncle successfully remarried. And Callan also changed a lot, no longer obsessed with those things as before. By a chance encounter, Callan met Cecil. He was very surprised by Callan's transformation, perhaps because it reminded him of the past. Callan, on an impulse, told Cecil what had happened. Cecil didn't understand at all why Callan was so obsessed with clothes that in that case. "Can't you just wear them in secret?" After getting the answer, Callan ran out excitedly. As long as no one found out, he could continue to pursue the things he liked, and no one would be disappointed in him for it. For many years, Callan secretly dressed himself up as another person. Although the long-term hiding made him feel repressed, he could sacrifice anything for his hobby. He had always firmly believed this, until his brother burst into the room, tearing open the page of his secret. His brother completely disregarded Callan's feelings and scrupulously mocking him with his things. "I really don't get how a pervert like you could get an invitation to Adenia Academy." Looking at his brother's back, Callan wished he could just silence him directly. He had a special fetish for wearing women's clothes since he was little. Although for his mother's happiness, he made a brief change. But in the end, he couldn't suppress his passion. He thought that as long as he hid everything, nothing would happen. But one day his brother accidentally burst into his room and discovered his secret. He also insulted him, saying a pervert like him was not qualified to receive an invitation to Adenia Academy. In an instant, Callan had the urge to kill his brother. Soon, the two were scuffling with each other. The outcome, of course, was Callan's defeat and injury. Because of this, his mother and the uncle had a huge fight. At this time, Callan told the two of them about receiving the invitation, because going to school was a way for him to both satisfy his hobby and avoid family conflicts. Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, the uncle showed him a malicious expression. That face was clearly asking him, "Why should someone like you be able to receive an invitation?" Callan could understand his brother being jealous of him. After all, going to Adenia was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But the uncle shouldn't be like this. No matter what, he was nominally Callan's father. The next moment, his mother slapped the uncle across the face. Let's get a divorce. His mother's attitude was extremely firm. After hitting him, she directly strode away, pulling Callan with her. Her love for Callan had never changed. Worried about Callan's school accommodation, she even deliberately entrusted him to his aunt's family. From that moment on, Callan no longer had any need to hide his hobby. He even achieved excellent results in a competition while dressed as a girl. But his brother's reappearance shattered his peace again. His mouth was still as sharp as ever. He trampled Callan's dignity under his feet without any respect. Actually, Callan had long planned to tell Diana everything, because Diana once said that the differences between people are called individuality. Perhaps this is the reason why Cashion would be so devoted to her. Callan hoped that Diana could also accept him as he is. But he was also afraid that after she knew the truth, she would show a look of shock. So when Diana reached her hand out to him, Callan subconsciously made a gesture to cover himself. If he could start over, he hoped he could have appeared before Diana as a boy. At that moment, Callan knew his love was doomed. Worried that Diana would also look at him with that kind of gaze, Callan shed tears of despair. Even in the face of his brother's humiliation, he had no will to resist. Suddenly, a clear, crisp sound was heard. Diana was seen grabbing his brother's collar, cursing loudly. "You really piss me off. You haven't stopped running your filthy mouth since a moment ago." Callan was suddenly stunned. At this moment, Diana noticed Callan's gaze and threw the brother to the ground. Then she excitedly cupped Callan's crying little face. "Are you hurt? Does it hurt?" Hearing this, Callan burst into tears. He didn't expect that even after knowing the truth, Diana didn't mind at all. She even felt that regardless of gender, one should wear whatever one wants. Even when asked what she would do if people around her cursed her for dating a pervert, Diana just said that liking someone doesn't have so many rules. Even if you list more of your own shortcomings, it's useless, because I already like you. Callan's eyes began to sting. Diana's words not only affirmed him as he was now, but also touched upon Callan's childhood. So when Diana asked if he wanted to join her, Callan resolutely agreed. From now on, as lovers, they would take good care of Diana, because the boy had a special fetish for wearing women's clothes. He was subjected to wanton insult from his stepfather and brother. Although for the sake of his mother's happiness, he made concessions and changes. But in the end, that passion in his heart still forced him to be himself. But now, his brother's reappearance has left a heavy mark on Callan. In front of the person he loves, his brother mercilessly stripped away Callan's fig leaf layer by layer. Although Callan had said he would no longer hide his hobby, in his heart, he often made various excuses for not daring to be honest. This contradiction within him made him start to avoid himself, and he even developed a sense of guilt, wanting to end it all. And just at that moment, Diana's words pulled him out of the mire. She not only dispelled Callan's negative emotions, but also told him that facing his hobby should be as natural as breathing. Overcome with emotion, Callan pulled Diana into a hug. "I really like you so much." Diana saw the 3 hearts above Callan's head. Diana breathed a sigh of relief. Actually, she was also taking a chance. She was just bored and wanted to check on the situation, not expecting to witness Callan's violent scene. Although she was glad she made the normal choice at the crossroads, she really didn't expect Callan to be a boy. Just as Diana was fantasizing about how many more of these types of reverse characters she would meet in the future, Callan suddenly suggested reporting to the teacher. Diana was stunned. Shouldn't this be told to Cashion? Realizing this, Callan became shy. He also wanted to inform Cashion as soon as possible. But now he was talking about the one on the ground. This guy's name is Simo. He used to be my brother, but now we have no relationship at all. If he wants to meet you in the future, please avoid him unconditionally. Only then did Diana remember that she had hit Simo. But Callan said that wasn't the reason. It's that he might try to provoke her in return, because Simo is actually a pervert who likes to be hit. If you hit him angrily, it will actually make him happy. Perhaps this is related to the fact that adults never disciplined him when he was young, leading to a rebellious mentality after growing up. Diana was full of interest after hearing this. But of course, Callan would not allow such a thing to happen. Just as the two were preparing to teach Simo another lesson, the purple-haired person from last time appeared and stopped them. Compared to Diana's nervousness, Callan appeared completely unfazed and even nonchalantly began to criticize the other person. Why did the school administrator only arrive now? If outsiders weren't allowed to enter freely in the first place, this wouldn't have happened today, would it? Compared to its reputation, this school's way of handling problems is really sloppy. Besides, can you not put my lover and this pervert together? Seeing the purple-haired person cast a questioning gaze, Diana suddenly felt a little guilty. Suddenly, the purple-haired person's face darkened. From now on, I will be responsible for the outsider. Student, you can go and report by yourself first. Although dissatisfied, Callan could only agree. Before leaving, Callan hugged Diana and told her not to worry about tomorrow's matter. At this time, the purple-haired person gave Simo medicine again, just like last time. Diana couldn't help but be curious about what would happen tomorrow. It sounded like some kind of common knowledge. Normally, she might ask Cashion, but she didn't want to reveal the fact that she was a player. Suddenly, Diana had an idea. Isn't there a perfect person right in front of her who could clear up her confusion? At the same time, the purple-haired person was gulping down medicine for Simo. Feeling the burning gaze on his back, the purple-haired person asked, "Why haven't you gone back to report? Or are you worried about this outsider?" Just as the purple-haired person was about to leave, Diana called out to him, "Did you help me last time too? I want to thank you, but I don't know how to convey it to you, because I just came to this school not long ago. So, can I treat you to a cookie or a cup of tea?" The purple-haired person actually seemed a little shy after hearing this. "I have a lot of cookies and tea in my office. If you eat with me, that will count as thanking me." For a moment, Diana felt like she was the one being conquered. She agreed first and would deal with the consequences later. Although going with a stranger might lead to trouble, she didn't want to miss this opportunity. Besides, this is just a game. After arriving at the office, the purple-haired person politely handed her a large plate of cookies. But he felt that just eating was a bit boring, so he suggested that Diana talk about things here. Although Diana was smiling, she became alert inside. If she didn't answer well, she might be arrested on the spot by the other party. Then, Diana started talking about her recent date. She believed that by using something he was familiar with, she could perfectly bluff her way through. After finishing, she used an expectant expression to inquire about the administrator's affairs. Neither Cashion nor Callan were the same type of person. Therefore, the purple-haired person guessed that Diana also intended to conquer him. Just like that, the two of them chatted for a while, each with their own ulterior motives. After returning to the dormitory, Diana immediately found the academy invitation letter. Combining the purple-haired person's words, Diana realized what role the administrator played in this place, as well as the specific structure of the entire country. Since the purple-haired person said to come again next time, he should be a target she can get closer to. But she also had doubts. Is this invitation letter really as important as the other party said? That Sunder, a little deer, who was supposed to be the heroine's second man, originally wanted to date Diana after she broke up with Cashion. Unexpectedly, with just a moment of inattention, his goddess was snatched up first by the cross-dressing master, Callan. On this day, Cecil was packing his things for school. Student ID and study tools were all ready. He should be able to get to the classroom 30 minutes early today. Suddenly hearing Callan leaving, Cecil chased after him in disbelief. You know, it's good enough if this guy isn't late usually. Callan turned his head, annoyed, and asked Cecil what was wrong. When he saw the skirt on Callan's lower body, Cecil was so shocked his glasses were shaken. "Why are you dressed like this monstrosity? You look so strange now, it's not as good as before." Callan said that he wouldn't dress like that anymore in the future. Facing Cecil's confusion, Callan explained that he was no longer afraid of other people's gazes. He never wanted to be a girl in the first place. Cecil indeed noticed that the current Callan looked very relaxed. Perhaps he was narrow-minded before. He should be more supportive of Callan's decisions in the future. At this time, Callan stammered out another reason. He and Diana started dating yesterday. Diana said she would accept him no matter what he was like. Hearing this, Cecil's mind was in chaos. Afterwards, Cecil dragged Callan to find Cashion. Cashion was not at all surprised by their arrival. Learning that Cashion already knew about this, Cecil trembled with anger. Why is Callan dating Diana? If you and Diana broke up, shouldn't it be my turn to date her now? Both Callan and Cashion were stunned by this statement. Looking at Sezel's expression, which was on the verge of tears from being wronged, Callan seriously suspected this person was crazy. What on earth did Diana do to Sezel to make him like this? But on second thought, maybe Diana will get tired of Sezel because of this, and he'll have one less competitor. Just as Callan was secretly gloating, Cashion advised Sezel to watch his attitude. It's Diana's freedom to date anyone, and Diana and I haven't broken up, so please don't spread rumors. Sensing Cashion's sharp gaze, Callan instantly sobered up. His thought of eliminating a love rival would hinder Diana. Diana is popular everywhere. That's undeniable. Seeing that Cashion was about to say something about him, Callan defiantly interrupted him. He would explain his own matters himself. At this moment, Cashion felt that Callan was not a bad choice. Little did the three of them know. While they were bickering, Diana had been hiding nearby and observing. It's just that she had no idea what these people were doing. Because Diana once said her dream was to raise 100 puppies, Cashion carefully observed every member of Diana's harem. Although Callan's hobby was surprising, he had a certain degree of perceptiveness and knew how to hide his desires. Most importantly, he didn't seem to have any impure intentions. Presumably, if something unexpected happened, he would also do his best to help Diana. What he needed to do now was to judge whether these newly added dogs were beneficial to Diana. If Diana really insisted on a harmful object joining, then he would definitely find a way to turn it into a useful one. The only regret was that Diana didn't rely on him for much. Suddenly, a voice came from behind Cashion, treating others so naturally as dogs. Are you any different from a dog yourself? Cashion turned his head sharply. He found no one behind him. He really wanted to refute that person's words. If Diana could always look at him with those emerald green eyes and love him as deeply as ever, then he wouldn't care if he was a dog or whatever. Last night, from the invitation, Diana learned the reason for her transfer to this school. She was admitted exceptionally because of her athletic talent. Diana didn't plan to just ignore this. First, she was the female protagonist. Second, this information might contain secrets about the original owner of the body. Moreover, if she messed up, she might be expelled from the academy. For the sake of her harem dream, Diana stayed up all night trying various sports, but to no avail. So the next morning, she prepared to go ask the administrator about the situation. Unexpectedly, she discovered the administrator's blood-red eyes. Just as Diana was wondering why the administrator was crying, her gaze shifted to the administrator's sexy body. For a moment, Diana regretted not conquering such a top-tier specimen sooner. And it was at this moment that she heard the commotion of Callan and Sezel on the other side. Just as she made eye contact with Callan, Diana suddenly felt dizzy and fainted. To prove to her boyfriend that she was safe, the girl forcibly kissed him in front of the teacher. It turned out that just now, Diana had fainted in front of her harem. Feeling a wet sensation, she woke up with a start. Beside her, Callan was staring at her with teary eyes. The wetness just now was Callan's tears. After asking, she learned that this was the infirmary, and Diana was the only patient. Because she had slept for a long time, Diana felt a little thirsty. Just then, a cup of tea was timely handed over. Looking up, she saw it was Cashion. He had guessed that Diana would want to drink water, so he had brewed tea in advance. Diana couldn't believe Cashion was here. She could understand a special talent student like Callan, who doesn't care about attendance, skipping class. But Cashion, who followed perfectionism, also skipped class for her. Seeing Diana's puzzled expression, Cashion thought she was weak from just waking up. So he lifted Diana's chin, preparing to feed her water himself. Diana then remembered that since their date, she had been rather upset about Callan's matter. Perhaps Cashion hoped she would rely on him. But at this moment, Diana felt it was necessary to use her actions to tell him that she was actually very healthy. Just like that, Diana publicly kissed Cashion. They continued for a long time, so much so that even Callan was too shy to look directly. Next, the teacher loudly stopped the shameless pair. This is the infirmary. What are you students doing? I just want to get the magic stone, and you do this. The teacher turned to comfort Callan. You don't have to worry about your girlfriend anymore. As for you, Diana, you need to remember to release your magic power in time. Saying this, the doctor held the magic stone towards Diana. Instantly, the magic stone burst into a dazzling light. Diana's body also gradually relaxed. At the same time, Sezel was anxiously attending class. Diana had fainted in front of him. Her pained expression was deeply engraved in Sezel's heart. But if that's the case, why was he still leisurely listening to the lecture? The doctor said that Diana just had a simple magic power overload. But Callan and Cashion still chose to stay and take care of Diana. So-called magic power is the power one is born with. Although everyone's magic power is different, for most people, the recovery rate of magic power matches their own consumption. But there are some people whose magic power recovery rate far exceeds their daily consumption. The special talent students at Adania basically have this constitution. A magic power overload is indeed somewhat dangerous for children. As they grow up, magic power also becomes safer. So for someone like Diana, who has been using magic power for more than 10 years, there is almost no possibility of injury. Such a simple truth, and Cashion and Callan didn't even know it. Although he said that, in reality, Sezel was trembling with nervousness. The doctor was also explaining to Diana the importance of releasing magic power. Even adults can die from magic power overload. Moreover, judging from these magic stones filled with power, it seemed Diana hadn't released her magic power for half a year. If it had been 4 years, her life might have been in danger. Callan thought the doctor was talking nonsense. How could someone not release their magic power for 4 years? But Diana, on the side, was genuinely frightened. You see, she had only been in this world for a total of 2 months. One possibility was that in just 2 months, she had accumulated half a year's worth of magic power for others. The other was that before she transmigrated, the original owner of the body had not used magic power for a long time. But she was the protagonist, after all. Maybe she had some special identity. No matter what, she had to find a solution first. Currently, Diana only knew the daily ways to consume magic power. These are just a drop in the bucket for her, because asking directly how to consume magic power would be strange. So Diana tactfully asked the doctor how to improve the effect of using magic power and how to use magic power to protect the natural environment. Asking this way made it seem like she had encountered a bottleneck in her research. Pretending to be a dedicated educator and asking humbly, this trick should be quite effective. Cashion couldn't help but stifle a laugh on the side, but Diana couldn't be bothered with anything else. She continued to release her heroine charm. Coincidentally, the doctor also had an interest in this area. His favorability towards Diana rose sharply. Afterwards, the doctor told Diana the truth. To effectively release magic power, it is most effective to use it in one's area of specialty. It seems you've been hoarding magic power to avoid waste. But for you, this is already the most effective method. The so-called storing magic power in a magic stone for backup is just a rumor. Just like Callan uses a specific piano to perform. Diana, you brought your own magic tool, right? Hearing this, Diana's face turned pale. For the past 2 months, she had been busy with romance. How would she know anything about a magic tool? Being questioned repeatedly by the teacher, Diana hesitated whether to make up an excuse to get by for now and secretly inquire about the magic tool later. So, should she answer that the tool is a magic dumbbell or a magic yoga mat? Diana looked at the teacher questioning her, thinking about her answer. By the way, the tool that can calm Callan is a piano and singing. But such a big thing can't be carried around. If she told the truth, what would happen then? Hud, hud, hud. The door was suddenly kicked open from the outside. Bambi rushed in anxiously. Everyone's attention was drawn to Bambi. This also successfully helped Diana out of her predicament. At this moment, Bambi only had eyes for Diana, seeing that his beloved was okay. Bambi only then belatedly blushed. To alleviate his own embarrassment, Sezel inexplicably started to tidy up Diana's clothes, while also making a deep confession. If you suddenly get sick like this, I'll be very worried. He was completely unaware of the sharp gazes from the two behind him, the main consort and the second consort. Diana unleashed her charm value, proactively cupping Sezel's face, and directly shot a 100,000-volt super-strong electric current. After receiving it, Sezel's whole body immediately went limp, unable to move. After regaining consciousness, Sezel immediately denied his worry. He fled, too ashamed and angry to show his face. A few days later, the doctor finally couldn't take it anymore. He flared up at Callan and Cashion. Don't you know that a patient needs quiet rest? All right, I'll make a special exception and give it to you today. Callan proactively abdicated, shocking the two of them. It turned out that this incident made Callan understand that he still had to abide by etiquette and rules. He was the second one, after all. So he left Diana and Cashion to take a leisurely walk in the woods, having a sweet date. When no one was around, Diana brazenly kissed Cashion's hand. Unexpectedly, this move directly made Cashion shy. After today's events, Cashion felt that he needed to be more proactive, so he cupped Diana's face. But at this time, Diana was completely immersed in the word proactive that Cashion had said. She said apologetically, "It's all my fault. I didn't take good care of you in your first relationship." Cashion gradually approached, his breath on Diana's neck. "Why did you hide the fact that you don't have a magic tool?" Hearing Cashion say this, Diana's body visibly stiffened. Did he guess? How'd he find out? Cashion suddenly hugged Diana and comforted her. "If you want to hide it, I won't expose anything." But what we encounter today is a major matter related to life and death. Even if the probability is low, it's still very unsettling. Looking at the worried Cashion, Diana patted him comfortingly. It was because of this that he firmly occupied the position of bunny in Diana's heart. While the two were being affectionate, a rustling sound came from the bushes. Pay attention. This is the main consort. Let's see how he manages the heroine's harem. Beneath the calm and harmonious surface of the harem, there are actually hidden, turbulent undercurrents. Can the concubine, who is based on the position of the main consort, escape the control of the cross-dressing master? And how should the not yet ennobled handsome boy conduct himself in this environment? To continue from last time, the magic tool that has been troubling the heroine. Can the main characters successfully help her obtain it? After much inquiry, the ways to obtain a magic tool are: 1. Bring it from home. This situation is very common. 2. Apply to the school. Although there is no limit to the number of times for this method, the type must be written down accurately. But Diana doesn't meet either of these conditions. At this time, the considerate main consort, Cashion, made a grand gesture of, "I'm here, don't worry." This was a continuation of their conversation in the woods, and Diana finally decided it was best to just follow him obediently. After reaching an agreement, the two held hands tightly. Diana thought to herself, in a world without major threats, what is there to be afraid of? Even if one day her judgment is wrong and Cashion suddenly goes crazy and wants to harm her, she has already achieved her minimum goal for now. She's already satisfied. She is not as desperate as she was at the beginning. For Diana, this is now the bonus stage. If it ends, it's a pity, but there's no loss. After all, this is a stage where the more you enjoy it, the more you gain. Pay attention. This man had just picked up his lunch. Creak. The door was knocked. Looking at the visitor, the man smiled instead of getting angry and obediently put his food back. After all, who doesn't love a gentle and considerate main consort? The man's name is Sid. He has a head of flowing red hair and a super muscular swordsman's physique. He had previously received a favor from Cashion. The two exchanged a simple yet enthusiastic greeting. Then he was informed that the purpose of this visit was to help Diana borrow a tool. Cashion grabbed Diana's shoulder, forcing her to participate. The woman understood and immediately switched to heroine mode. She introduced herself in a pitiful and moving manner. Strangely, the big red-haired guy was completely unaffected by the heroine's charm skill. This is simply unheard of in the heroine's harem. The other party's reaction made Diana very embarrassed. The big guy asked Diana with confusion if she was a little deer. Diana wondered if he meant her appearance resembled a little deer. After being observed for 10 minutes, the big guy also felt embarrassed. He quickly asked what tool they needed. At this moment, Diana was greatly alarmed because she noticed an evil skull on the big guy's collar, crying for help. What kind of person is this? With doubts, Diana pretended to be calm and said she wanted to choose the tool herself. So the group went to the warehouse. The big guy also said he was very much looking forward to it. After all, his intuition is very accurate. What is the big red-haired guy looking forward to? Can the protagonist group, led by Diana, successfully obtain the magic tool? On the way to choose, Cashion quickly gave the heroine a background introduction of the character. Adenia, a place that everyone's impression of is elite and first class. Just like its image, Adenia strives for excellence, providing the best environment for its busy students. Clubs are the same. Although they receive support befitting the school's reputation, there are exceptions. The delinquent Sid, he is that exception. In his third year, he served as the president of his original club. Most of the original members had graduated, leaving him alone. A club needs at least 2 people to be maintained. Therefore, Sid's club had to be disbanded. But Sid, by using various tantrums and shameless actions, eventually managed to keep the club. It was negotiated that he could use a rather remote building on campus. The rumored Sid's body is mostly covered in red, as if on fire. Looking at the man in front of her, Diana understood that the rumors were indeed exaggerated. His hair was like scattered, curled rose petals. His eyes were like tea brewed with globe amaranth, with a clean pink glow. Like a rose uncle, Diana thought. Although it's a fact that his gray eyes give a sense of pressure. It's not to the point of being scary. But Diana had no intention of conquering such a persistent character. So it didn't matter if she disappointed him. In that case, let's just make his interest disappear at once. While Sid was dumbfounded, Diana chose a weapon, commonly known as a great cleaver. Unexpectedly, this axe feels better to hold than imagine. What's this? It looks heavy, but it's lighter than I thought. Just as Diana was studying it with great interest, Sid also recovered from a shock that you'll only know if a blade is good by swinging it, Sid said from behind her. Just as the heroine was about to show off her skills, the axe in her hand was taken away. The reason Sid gave was that her clothes were not suitable. 10 minutes later, special time, special place. The heroine makes her entrance, stunning everyone. Tada! The cool and dashing style transformation is complete. Alright, it's clear. This is an outfit that slays men, but not women. Although the heroine herself doesn't like it, seeing the surprised expressions of the two, she still chooses to wear this outfit. She swings the axe and performs a set of military-style punches. As a result, Diana successfully receives a set of tools, and a set of clothes was gifted to her with tears, even though the clothes don't fit well. Just as the two were talking, Diana suddenly felt a chill. It was as if it was right behind her. A familiar feeling. A feeling that makes you want to run away from here immediately. Just like seeing those eyes. Instructor Sid comes online, points to the wooden dummy in front, and asks Diana to try hitting it. The heroine is relieved that she's just hitting a wooden dummy, not the worst-case scenario of fighting the big guy. The heroine swings with all her might. Even with the protagonist's halo, she is still a novice. With a crack, the wooden dummy falls to the ground in a mess, completely smashed to pieces. The heroine is really strong. Speaking of which, for the past 2 months, she hasn't used any strength. Holding a pen and eating cookies was all. During this time, she was either playing with friends or dating. Suddenly, Instructor Sid grabs Diana's hand. Your grip is soft. It's like you're using it for the first time. But the heroine is still stuck on. Why are you grabbing my hand? I'm actually not familiar with it yet. Turns out he wants to recruit the heroine into his club. Luckily, Cashion came to the rescue at this time. Good grief. In just this short learning time, Sid's favorability is already at 1 star. As expected of the charming heroine, can I ask you a favor? The tough-as-steel Sid said coquettishly. Just like that, Diana temporarily joined the Combat Technology Research Club. It's the same in dating games. The biggest highlight of the romance genre is the change in the main characters after meeting the heroine. Like a once selfish character falling in love with the protagonist, starts to care about others, or a cold character shows a shy reaction. The reactions that unconsciously appear because they like the other person. Watching that process of them becoming fools is the most fun. So Sid's existence is very reasonable. As long as I can defeat Cashion, I don't care who it is. Cecil, why is he so obsessed with Diana? Because he said, it doesn't matter if it's not that person. But this is just a trick. Love is just a lucky coincidence. Therefore, one must work hard not to let it fly away. Anyone who claims its fate must be a superstitious fanatic. Of course, Callan knows Cecil is not like that. His inferiority complex towards Cashion is actually cute to a degree, because the root cause is honesty. He feels like he's stealing someone else's lover. The truly detestable part is his inability to think straight. Indeed, if the other person detests Cecil, or until he surrenders, he cannot overcome his own guilt. In this situation, he really has to apologize. Diana knows about this tendency of Cecil's and find it cute. They can maintain their relationship. Callan watches as Cecil finally tells the truth. Cecil admits that he did approach Diana with impure intentions at first, observing the methods she used, until Diana smiled at him, looking at him with eyes full of love. This made it hard for Cecil to sleep. Her natural friendliness? No, he doesn't believe she would tell him his good points, so he really fell in love with her. Looking at Cecil's reaction, Callan can predict 2 things. Even if you realize it now, just give up. If you quit now, you might still have some good memories. This was the story between Callan and Cecil when Diana was out yesterday. So Diana was very surprised when she returned. Who did what to our Bambi? Because he was staring with eyes that were obviously swollen from crying. Diana's heart ached as she ran towards Bambi. After a slow-motion run, the heroine's eyes became moist. I see even that Sundara Bunny stubbornly turned his head to the side, unwilling to be seen anymore. Just as the two were about to touch, the screen froze. The heroine was stunned. Why is he holding his breath? Is it playing hard to get? Good grief. This directly shocked Callan, who was on the side. Unexpectedly, on the issue of whether Bambi was playing hard to get, the heroine Diana even held a tea party to discuss it with Callan. Recalling yesterday's situation, Callan, of course, couldn't admit it. He thought speechlessly, didn't I just play the bad guy for nothing? I actually made Diana sad. This is terrible. He could only eat cake without saying a word. Looking at Callan's reaction, something definitely happened. But there are too many things to worry about right now, including Sid's hint. What does it mean? The administrator incident must be dealt with no matter what. And Bambi's matter, but it feels like something is wrong. It feels like something has been forgotten. A man holding a syringe says, "Don't move. Don't you want to live?" Suddenly, Callan leaned in close, making Diana flinch. Oh, so he was worried because she wasn't answering. But isn't he being too sensitive to her mood? Was it that much of a shock? No. From Callan's perspective, he should be looking forward to a sweet love life. But won't he be tired now? If his cheating lover hasn't fully recovered and is thinking about other things in front of him, he would definitely be worried. Callan's feelings are a mix of a little guilt and a strange feeling of worrying about the heroine. This is too cute. Seeing this, Diana realized that she was making him unusually anxious. What a foolish lover she is. So she leaned over and gave Callan a satisfactory answer. Seeing you so nervous was too cute, so I just wanted to tease you a bit. Let's do the official one when a mood is a bit better. Even with just this little act, Callan was very satisfied. Suddenly realizing the time, Diana hurriedly had to leave. Callan grabbed Diana and asked, "Can I go with you?" The heroine unintentionally said yes. But will Callan and Sid really get along? Callan, who likes to dress meticulously and cares about others' opinions, and Sid, who is almost half naked. Diana feels very uneasy. Sid was already waiting early. The moment he saw Diana, Sid shot up and rushed toward her. He hugged her tightly, tightening his arms. Being held by a handsome man feels so good, Diana thought, closing her eyes to adjust. After all, she brought Callan along. Sid suddenly lowered his head and showed her a strawberry-flavored cream sugar cake. You can't continue exercising after eating. Safety is the most important thing, isn't it? Knowing that the woman he likes is on a date with someone else, yet still having to pretend to be proper. Pretending to be considerate while looking at his love rival. What will instructor Sid do? As expected, love rivals are jealous when they meet. To be honest, this is understandable. Callan, who was originally harsh in his evaluation of others, especially men, is bound to be dissatisfied with Sid, who has disheveled hair, wears his uniform sloppily, has no manners, and even lacks perception. On Sid's side, he doesn't seem to have much interest in Callan either. He sized him up for a while, and as soon as he knew Callan was a performance major, he immediately looked away. Callan watched this scene, his eyes cursing more filthily than his mouth. Callan suddenly pushed Sid. His small body stood between the two, expressing his defense of their relationship with his body language. To be honest, Diana has a subtle feeling about Sid. That is, seeing Sid gives her a different kind of feeling. There are indeed some things that are creepy. Usually, just by smelling the strawberry scent, she can accurately guess the menu. But it's definitely not as simple as fear. Noticing that Diana had rested, Sid started a conversation. Then let's start slowly. At the same time, he glanced to the side and was relieved to confirm that Callan was just watching. Even with just two people, the conditions are sufficient. So it's okay. Anyway, you probably can't keep up because you're weak. Sid mercilessly mocked Callan. Callan clenched his fists in anger, ready to explode at any moment. Callan's virtue is knowing when to stop. He's not like Cashion, who sets an example, nor is he as pure as Bambi. He's appropriately shrewd and perceptive. This is ultimately not a bad thing. He knows how to express his desires and troubles just right, showing his heart without reservation. For example, just now when they were about to run, Diana said that if they run for stamina in the future, she would carry Callan. She could also open jam jar lids for him. In short, because he is the kind of delicate beauty that makes people want to protect him. Who understands this? This kind of protective desire is only for Callan. Hearing these words, Callan thought, maybe he should take off the skirt he was so attached to before. In the end, he still said that he would also start with warm-up exercises and war pant for love. But Diana still felt that Callan was forcing himself. So she whispered to him that as long as he was healthy, it was fine. She would protect him. Hearing the heroine doubt his physical body, what man could stand that? So Callan cursed idiot and then ran away. After a round of exercise, Diana couldn't help but pounce on the bed when she saw it. She was just too tired. Speaking of which, Callan is really energetic. He's more stubborn than imagined, unexpectedly resilient. Seeing Callan push himself so hard, Diana couldn't help but worry a little. Callan is actually obsessed with masculinity. Diana lay on the bed, thinking about what Callan had said. He wanted to protect her. He also said that a man should have masculinity, but it was his delicate masculinity that she fell for. Although there are many styles around to emulate, to be honest, they don't suit Callan. Most importantly, from the perspective of Callan rising to 3 stars, no matter what she does, she can't get a confident result. Callan's image is that of a small kitten that always wants to be pampered. So in the end, to show off, he does things that are not like himself. That's the reason. It seems this is the standard. Regarding the method to exceed 3 hearts, Diana seems to have caught a clue. If this line of thinking is correct, Cecil will probably be able to rise to 3 hearts soon. Although she wants to test it right away, Diana still chooses to sleep first. Early one morning, Diana appeared in the woods, lightly dressed. The reason was that yesterday Sid said that since the time after school was too short for a week, they would also practice in the morning. Suddenly, a dog barked in the woods. Diana was startled. Looking in the direction of the sound, it was a cute little black dog tied with a leash. Looking around, she didn't see its owner, so she squatted down to play with it. Unexpectedly, it was floating 2 hearts even for someone it just met. So the heroine played with it even more happily. In that case, it should be fine to make Sid wait a little longer. On the other side, Sid was still looking forward to her arrival. Haha, the late Diana was still detected by instructor Sid, who is extremely sensitive to smells. He noticed the smell of a dog on her hands. The heroine guiltily explained, and said she only touched it with her hands and would wash them immediately. But Sid put his nose to Diana's hand and confirmed it himself. But this action is really ambiguous. Is this person a pervert? And what are his intentions? At this time, what Sid was thinking was, what a relief. I finally got her to come, but I almost sent her back because she put me in a bad mood. Luckily, I found out. Grabbing your hand suddenly was rude. Cashion, you helped me again. The protagonist's native language is speechlessness. No choice but to endure it. After the brief episode, the two officially began their training. During the training, they talked about the origin of the club's name. They talked about club life. When it came to recruiting members, Sid said, "I only need you." It was just the right tone for a misunderstanding. Looking at the heart above his head, she understood it wasn't a pretense. Indeed, the charm points have increased again since last time. A little more favorability. So convenient. She can know for sure whether to conquer him or not. So she was passively confessed to again. Diana, still savoring the moment, suddenly realized she was currently in class. She couldn't laugh, so she instantly put on a poker face. Bambi is also in this class, so she has to be extra careful. She's felt him secretly glancing over here since a while ago. It looks like he's cried. Did he cry again yesterday? Is it because all the moisture is gone when it's time to conquer him, so he becomes all whiny? Sid is an unexpectedly good teacher. To be honest, Diana's schedule is very tight. Class is very fun. Of course, this also has to do with her amazing stamina. After all, she was outstanding from the beginning, with the protagonist setup. At the same time, Sid on the other side was still daydreaming. Running alone is too boring. If I pester him, will he stay a little longer?